Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 1st. Let's get going. Tanaka's on TV again, this time selling a copy of and I clearly need these, as it's the only way to save Yugi's soul. Speaking of souls in need of saving, I spent some time with Akinari today. He's feeling a bit nihilistic, asking, why me, and what purpose is there in anything? I tell him he's not the only one going through pain and suffering, as a way to remind him that he isn't alone. But he gets upset and says that no matter what he does, his body reminds him every day of his impending doom. Akinari now says he's afraid of being alone, but tells me to leave when it starts getting dark. Anyway, now that it's dark, I head to Escapade to spend some time with Mitatsu-san. He's sloshed, and yells at me for being late, saying that Dad taught me better. As a registered orphan, I have zero idea what he means, and he starts to sober up before telling me about how his wife and child left him 4 years ago. He says he drinks to sort of run away from his problems, and I realize that seems to be a recurring theme amongst Tatsumi Port Island. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 2nd. Let's get going. Ono-sensei's still out, so I head to the mall and sell some spoils before finding out I can make frickin' Mjolnir. I meet a runaway girl at the shrine, so I guess Maiko's living at the shrine now. Upon returning to the dorm, we have a small meeting about how tomorrow's operation is the last one. We talk about who's been doing this the longest, and Mitsuru tells us about how she awakened to her persona. She actually blames that event for endangering us all. I end the night with a little punching bag practice. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 3rd, and it's a full moon. Fuka finds the last shadow at the Moonlight Bridge, but notices that Strega is there as well. We make our way there after a pep talk from Mitsuru, and confront Assassin Jesus and his sidekick. They try to convince us that we know nothing of the Dark Hour, and we head into battle. Surprisingly, they go down relatively easy, showing that Strega was all bark and a tiny bit of bite. Jin again says we know nothing before Takaya tells him to shut up. He puts his gun to his head before being stopped by his sidekick, then subsequently pulled off the bridge. Everyone shrugs, and we make our way to the shadow. Hangman puts up a decent fight, at least for the rest of the team. I genuinely think if I didn't have Thor, I wouldn't have been able to win, as Akasha Arts decimates the rest of the team, while I'm immune. After a long, arduous fight with multiple thunder calls, we rip the shadow from the skies. The Gynoid wants to celebrate with the rousing cry of
1, 2, 3. Can we go home now?
And we all bask in the glory. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 4th. Let's get going.
Good morning.
Ferris is here for the first time in daylight, and the last time for good. He says his memories returned, so he has to leave now. See ya, demon child. Changing moods, it's time for a celebration. Ikutsuki and the Robussi aren't here though, so we decide to celebrate without them. Who is here though is Mitsuru's dad. He congratulates us, and says that as of midnight, Cease is disbanded. We start eating the sushi, but Junpei interrupts us to get a picture of the whole crew.
Come on, quit fooling around, Junpei.
Hey, knock it off, will ya?
Just kidding, the Dark Hour's still here for some reason, and Mitsuru tells us to prepare to head into Tartarus. We get there to find Ikutsuki and the anti-shadow weapon. He sicks his robot on us. We wake up crucified, and witness a literal hostile takeover attempt that results in both parties' demise. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 5th. Let's get going. Akihiko texts me after class to let us know to head to the meeting room when we get back. We hurry back, and have a discussion about what happened the past 2 days. Mitsuru is absent, as she has to deal with arranging her father's funeral. Junpei realizes that Chidori is under Kirijo protection, but Aki reassures him with the ever-so-optimistic, they're too busy to care. After some wise words from training about the protein junkie, we head out, but Fuka stops Yukari to hand her a video she found on Ikutsuki's hard drive. While I hang with Mitatsu-san, Yukari watches said video, and discovers it's the unedited version of her father's message. The director's cut omitted the fact that we weren't supposed to hunt the shadows, or bad things would happen. Yukari finds out her dad always loved her.
Are you listening, Dad? I'm doing okay.
Yukari's resolve grants her an evolution of her persona, transforming Io into Isis. I meet Igor in my dreams, and he spouts some cryptic shit about choosing my own path before I fall back asleep. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 6th. Let's get going. Junpei's finally visiting Chidori after about 2 weeks of not seeing her. She says she's still in pain, and asks Junpei what he's going to be doing 2 years from now. I don't think Junpei knows what he's going to do 2 minutes from now, but he changes the subject to point out that Chidori stopped cutting herself. He touches her hands, and she slaps him away, before ultimately telling him to never come back. Guess his social link with Chidori reversed. Speaking of social links, it's time for another Fuka Friday, but only for a tiny bit in the library. We head back to the dorm, where Liz surprises me with new Tartarus DLC. I celebrate this news with Mutatsu-san. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 7th. Let's get going. After class, I spend some time with Chihiro in the library. Bitches love the library, apparently. I head back home to console Junpei about his breakup, before heading back out to spend time with Tanaka. He tells me he was approached by a boy around my age who called him a negative role model. Tanaka inspired the boy to become a prosecutor after he discovered the scams he was running. He panics, wondering what will happen to him in jail. I get home and get a call to hang out with Scott tomorrow, but I plan to hang with Akinari instead. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 8th. Let's get going. Continuing my weird trend of spending weekends with Tanaka, I hit the home shopping channel to find Tanaka selling Harry Potter merch and some protein to counteract the soy. I hit the buy button faster than you can say Flipendo and head to the shrine to hang with Akinari. Fittingly, he asked me about my reading habits, and he explains he doesn't really finish books, as he's afraid of what I call post-persona syndrome, where you get depressed because your real life sucks. The sun starts to set, and I head back to the dorm.
Sup, dude?
I decide to walk Koromaru tonight, and wouldn't you know it, I run into Yuko. I realize she's never met Koro, and she's in love. Bitches love the Koro flip. We end the night with some small talk while Koro plays. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 9th. Let's get going. There's a new transfer student today, and surprise, surprise,
My name is Ryoji Mochizuki.
he's voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. Every girl in class, save for the iDog and Yukari, swoon over him, with the little trans boombox even outright calling him dangerous. Miss Toriyumi tries to settle us down by threatening to take away our class trip privileges, but she can't seem to get control. After class, I formally introduced myself to Proto Yosuke, before realizing that Chihiro's magically disappeared from school, leaving me little choice but to hang with Yukari. We run into a lost kid at the mall, and Yukari drags him to the police booth to help find his mother. She rants about how her mother's the same. Well, at least you have a mother! Before getting mad at me for not caring about her home life. I shrug my shoulders and hit the punching bag while she walks home. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 10th. Let's get going. On our way into school, Yukari says that Mami Mitsuru's coming home tonight. She's still depressed though, for good reason. I hope she brought milk. I spent some time at the library and Chihiro just happens to be there, before heading back home. Alita Battle Angel says that Mitsuru's upstairs in her room, and I go to check on her, but she's not coming out. So I go hang with Tanaka. He complains about people asking for charity, and says he struggles with no free time to spend his millions. He unironically discusses having an heir with me. I get creeped out and leave. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 11th. Make a wish. I head to art club before heading home, where Junpei asks me for girl advice. I suggest he gaslights Chidori into being happy, then visit Mitsuru, who says she doesn't have a reason to go to Tartarus anymore. I ignore her and head to Tartarus anyway. After a minor setback, I find that stairs have magically appeared at the top of Zaya, leading us to what Liz's requests say is the final block, Haraba. While grinding, I find a penis card, and after another minor setback, I hit level 56, so I drop back down to finally create Alice. I jump back up and encounter the boss of the area, Matsuyodyne Tempest/Sword things. That's literally all they do, by the way. After swapping around my party and losing a few times, I decided to grind up to level 57, and show just how much of these next attempts I had to cut out. Quick note, the final attempt took just over 6 minutes, and the scrap footage is almost 40. Anyway, we make it out with only minor setbacks. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 12th. Let's get going. Edogawa's teaching us about magic from India, but I get distracted because Ryoji's just letting his arm hang by his side at his desk. How's that comfortable? Thankfully, I was paying attention just enough. At lunch, I accuse Chihiro of stalking me, and she runs away giggling. Oh, hey Scooter. I hang with Chihiro in the library for the bajillionth time, but this time she actually talks to me. She's stressed from all the rumors of her stealing, and gets up to look for a book. While she's up, some girls come in and start talking shit, so I step in to call them out, and they leave. Chihiro comes to me with tears in her eyes and asks to leave, so we go to head out. But she stops at the entrance to tell me I'm the only person she can rely on. I have to physically restrain myself from being a terrible person for memes. After Chihiro, I go on a quick shopping trip before hanging with Mutatsu-san, who apologizes for being drunk the other day, and tells me he's going to try and get his life back together. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 13th. Let's get going. Once again, we have a short Fuka Friday in the library. I hate the library. Afterwards, I head back to Escapade to see if Mutatsu-san found his wife yet. What happened to turning your life around? I decide to sit with him and enjoy this short, slow day. Life's been pretty hectic lately. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 14th. Let's get going. Edogawa's subbing today, and he teaches us about magic breathing. He says there's a special place on your body called the Dantian, just below your belly button, that you can focus all of your energy in. After class, Yukari goes looking for Mitsuru and finds her on the roof. Mitsuru's thinking about skipping out on the class trip, which is crazy for the class president to even suggest. Yukari hits her with a dose of reality, but is interrupted by Ryoji in his flirtatious ways. Thankfully, Yukari's well versed in the ways of the pickup artist, and sends Mitsuru on her way.
Ow!
I spent some time with Chihiro somewhere other than the library for once, and head back home to an apology from Mitsuru. After reminding Junpei that he's literally too stupid to know the meaning of the word quit, I'm off to complete my deal with the devil. After introducing me to a not-so-attractive lady, Tanaka makes a 10 million yen donation to a charity, and lets me keep the thank you letter they sent him. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 15th. Let's get going. I start my day off with some home shopping, this time picking up a cool biker jacket and some more protein. After dumping almost $1,000 on a coat, I go hang with Akinari, who seems to be in worse shape than before. He says he didn't get any sleep last night because he was too absorbed in his reading. I scold him, and he laughs, saying he hasn't been yelled at in a long time. He again worries about me, quote, wasting time with him, but it isn't time wasted if it's what I want to do. After another coughing fit, we go our separate ways, him to the hospital and me to the club with Mutatsu-san. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 16th. Let's get going. In class, Mr. Ikoto reminds us that our field trip begins tomorrow. We're heading to Kyoto. I've always wanted to go. I really love the architecture and exploring historical places, and it definitely helps them. I ignore Fuka at lunch and decide to take Elizabeth on a date at school. She panics about being seen, so she clings to my body as we explore campus. We first make our way to the classroom, where Liz gives an impromptu quiz about diet food. Before we explore the art room, music room, and the track and field. Damn, Liz is kinda athletic. We go to leave, and Liz implies that she might be falling for me romantically, and that she'll have to conduct more thorough research on her feelings. After dropping Liz off, I get some coffee with Yukari, before heading back home to find Ken shitting on Junpei. Attaboy. He also asked me directly to bring him a souvenir back from Kyoto, and I promised not to let him down. And the night by walking Kodomari. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 17th. Let's get going.
Kyoto, huh? Talk about boring. You don't like it? Personally, I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. Whatever.
We're in Kyoto. I'm super excited for the next 3 days. I love shitty hot spring tropes. I especially love how blatant Junpei is about trying to sneak off with the girls. I make sure to buy Ken's souvenir right away so I don't forget. Then I encounter a couple dorks fantasizing about peeking on the girls. I run into Mitsuru on the 3rd floor, and I'm actually afraid for her. She seems to be suffering from apathy syndrome. I end the night with a cute conversation with Yuko. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 18th. Let's get going. After a long day of exploring the historic side of Kyoto, Yukari finds Mitsuru at the riverbank. They have a small conversation, mostly about Mitsuru's loss of will to fight. They argue that Mitsuru never cared about repenting for her grandfather's mistakes, and only fought to protect her father when Yukari hits her with a dose of reality. Yukari says that her mom whored around a lot after her dad died, and that caused her to grow up with only trust in her father. She tells Mitsuru that she fights to honor her father's last wish, and that it's what must be done. Senpai finally comes to her senses, and after a half-assed marriage proposal and the promise of lesbian bath time,
I am not alone.
Mitsuru's resolve grants her an evolution of her persona, transforming Penthesilea into Artemisia. Back at the inn, I run around like a doofus in my new bathrobe, and resent my digital self for pulling such a bad bitch like Yuko. Why can't I have a perfect girlfriend? Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 19th. Let's get going. Today was our free day to sightsee, and the rest of the group seemed to enjoy themselves. I find myself with some free time in the evening, and Akihiko says Junpei was looking for me. So we'll address that after I spend some time chatting with Yuko about her being jealous and insecure. Way to make me feel bad about maxing her out, game. I run into Junpei in the lobby, and he says he wants to hit the hot springs. I already know what's about to happen, so I decide to just get on with it. Ryoji and Junpei both play dumb as to why we're visiting the hot springs so late, but the girls walk in just in time to cause a scene. Akihiko panics when he hears Mitsuru's voice, so as Yukari and Fuka search the hot springs for ghosts, we play Scooby-Doo and hide. We have a few close calls, but we aren't found, thank God, as I really hate this stupid trope. Good thing Junpei and Ryoji get their comeuppance.
Well, I guess that's what they deserve.
Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 20th. Let's get going. We're on our way home from Kyoto. While waiting for the train, Junpei tries to bring up last night, but Aki shuts him up quickly as the girls approach. We dodge an awkward conversation.
This is our secret. You guys better take it to the grave.
And make it home to a happy Ken and Koro. And I make sure to surprise him with some Namayatsuhashi, a red bead paste sweet. I then take the little bugger on a walk with Koro, where he tells me all about what they did this week. He's like a sweet younger brother. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 21st. Let's get going. We're back to school even though the trip just ended, and Miss Toriyumi's already saying we have another week-long vacation from school next week in Career Week. I can't wait to see what job is arbitrarily picked for me to do. After some coffee with Chihiro, I head into Tartarus to start climbing again, and perform King and I. I level up to 58 before taking on the next boss. More big rock sword guys. They're a physical boss, and they don't reflect lightning, so it looks like Thor is just going to carry me through it again. I swap out Ken for Motoko Kusanagi after a quick wipe, and decide that spamming Thunder Call is the easiest way to clear this. I really hope it isn't just busted and that it falls off later on, otherwise it's going to feel like a crutch. I clear the floor and decide to try and make it to the next roadblock, but while grinding I look down at my phone for 2 seconds, not knowing these enemies were immune to slash attacks, and I'm done with Tartarus for the day. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 22nd. Let's get going. I start the day with some home shopping, purchasing some Batman memorabilia, before moving on to hang with Akinari. He tells me he's writing a novel about a pink alligator, and says I'm part of his inspiration. I end the day with some shopping, even turning Cert into a sword. I'm awoken by Fuka during the dark hour, and she says she's discovered Strega again. Chidori escaped from the hospital, and lures Junpei to Tartarus before engaging us in a fight. For the amount of experience this fight gives me, it should have been harder. After hitting level 59, we discover the rest of Strega is here, and Assassin Jesus assassins Junpei. Thankfully, Chidori has an infinite lives cheat code that she gives Junpei, in exchange for her own. And now Junpei's pissed. His and Chidori's resolve grant them an evolution of their personas, fusing Medea and Hermes into Trismegistus. Junpei immediately slams Mr. Sidekick with a huge fireball, and we prep for round 2 before they scamper off like pussies. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 23rd. Happy Thanksgiving! Today's a bit of a somber holiday though, as Junpei's locked himself away in his room. I decide that since his girlfriend's now gone, I should be thankful for mine, and pull a relationship fortune for Chihiro, praying we haven't reversed her again. Thankfully, we're fine, so I hit up Game Panic to end the night. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 24th. Let's get going. Going to career experience, that is. What I thought would be a neat thing to show is instead a neat 2 days of no Persona. Oh well. Take care, everyone. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 27th. Let's get going.
Hello.
Well, that was a nice little break. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend. Since I'm back from Career Week, I decided to check in on Junpei and see how he's doing. He wants to stop moping, but I think he should take some time to grieve. After a quick bathroom break, I head on a walk with Koromaru, as I haven't seen him in 2 days. Who's a good boy? Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 28th. Let's get going. On my way home from school, I run into Chihiro at the lockers, and we both get called to the student council room. Mitsuru confronts us, and Chihiro starts to panic. Mitsuru says she believes her and that she and I will take care of it, offering me a private meeting in her room tonight. Ooh. Chihiro's jealousy explodes, and she runs off to confront the teacher she gave the money to. After chewing him out, we all discover he used the money for a taxi, and we leave Mitsuru to deal with the after effects. Up on the roof, Chihiro is so surprised at herself that she misspells aggressive and asks if I can meet her mom. I promptly run away from that commitment, only to find out we're holding a mini intervention for Junpei. Like the horrible friends we are, we decide it's time for him to get over the death of his girlfriend, and I guess he agrees. To celebrate, I pick up Junpei's new sword, and hit up Game Panic with Black Frost. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 29th. Let's get going. I start the day with some home shopping with the Protein Lord Tanaka, then move on to the Story Lord Akinari. He tells me more of his pink alligator story, specifically how the alligator eats his friend. I'm a little shocked, because he says he wanted to write an upbeat story, but he proceeds to tell me he's writing his will, so I guess he was having a depressive episode. I leave Akinari to head into Tartarus, and notice that Junpei's new sword is on fire. And as I said a few days ago in my tier list video, feel free to check it out on the channel, he's kicking ass and taking names. We come up to our next boss, and I take a moment to clean up my persona list, namely getting rid of Takemi Katsuchi and King Frost, as I actually want a challenge, seeing his Thunder Call's too strong. I hop back up to fight Taskmaster, and Junpei carries us through. I even get the homunculus I used back at the end. And it's time for a double boss feature! I hit 2 bosses this run, as I thought Tartarus would end at 201, but it didn't. I cleared this boss with just attack mirrors, funnily enough. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's November 30th. Let's get going. In class, Ikoda-sensei is talking about ancient Japanese beauty standards, and asked me if the men and women both participated in them. I was surprised to find out that back in the Heian period, men plucked their eyebrows. After class, I decided to spend some time at student council. Hidetoshi's going ballistic, accusing the vice president, a girl, of smoking in the boys' room. The rest of the students leave, and Hidetoshi confronts me, getting mad that I'm trying to buck the system. Facts. Apparently he's trying to be a good friend, but I don't see it. I get back to the dorm, just as Ryoji's leaving. Roboco asks why he was here, saying he's dangerous. The group reassures the dishwasher that Ryoji's a nice guy, even helping to cheer up Junpei, which sends it into a depressive spiral. Arali stops me to tell me that she cares about me, and I say there's no need to worry.
I am a machine.
Oh no, she's gonna do something drastic, isn't she?
I beat the pussy up.